And here we have the conclusion to, I seriously think this is my favorite comedy anime of all time. Been saying it for a while, but I was really hoping nothing would change by the time we finished episode 12, and no. The story is surprisingly interesting. The twists on what isekai stories are, the idea that their world is literally just a goddess, kind of like almost in just a ball. And the idea that the Demon Lord's castle has been so obvious this entire time, but because the goddess screwed them over so hard, they had no idea the giant white cross-like thing in the sky is actually the Demon Lord's location. And just the entire escalation of this episode. This was not the most dramatic episode. This was, in fact, probably one of the calmer episodes in the past month. But the idea that, simply put, Tachibana wanted Jinguji to acknowledge her, and the fact that we want these compliments, we want these praise. And because of Kirito-kun, aka Schwartz, they ultimately end up having that conversation, and it's just a non-stop, rapid-fire machine gun turret of love being targeted towards Tachibana. And I never really considered it, but the idea of Tachibana being charmed to end the show on is probably the best way to go about it, because there's been multiple points where Jinguji's been charmed. Of course, they brush it aside. No, it's just because, now my best friend, who is a bro, now looks like a girl. No, of course, I'm not actually charmed. And the fact that now we've had it on both sides, the marriage thoughts, the children, and the escalation of what they've went through. For a long time, it's been crystal clear that even prior to this isekai adventure, it very much seemed like they were in love with each other. And I think it would be very impossible for a season 2 to deny that fact any further than what season 1's tried to do. But I think it was sweet, as much as it was hilarious, to see them finally admit their feelings out loud, even if they don't admit to the elephant in the room, which is the I love you phrase. The idea of just kind of like recapping all their adventures together prior to this isekai, how they both felt about the other, and the fact that they're able to break free from that headmaid's curse, to then ultimately end it in a pretty, I think, typical way that you would expect for a show like this. Of course, the princess gets off scot-free for her assassination rebellion attempt because, of course, this dad is just going to view it as, oh, she's a teenager and she's just kind of going on a bit of a rampage. She's growing up. She's sorry. So I'm, of course, going to forgive this. And then just the casual suicide jokes like her in the background trying to cut her own head off, to just like how everyone is, I guess, equally to blame if you really start dissecting it, but all the blame simply lies on the head maid. So we're just gonna kind of brush it aside and go from there. But just to see how all the players throughout this battle had an important role to play. Seriously, taking Schwartz, who literally is a Kirito parody, and ended up being the entire reason Jinguji snapped out of it as he's simultaneously deflecting this giant bunny bot away as he's punching and just basically just getting annoyed and fed up with the bullshit. It was great to see how far the characters came while simultaneously progressing this relationship while also simultaneously denying said relationship. I mean, I didn't know what to really expect about this show other than it sounded funny, and I think it absolutely lived up to that impression, but it also simultaneously told an isekai story with a very fun twist in the same kind of league as, like, I guess I would say maybe Combatants Will Be Dispatched or something like that. The things where, like, you take the story and you dissect it and you make fun of it and you poke fun at it, but you also simultaneously are progressing to a end goal while also telling a romance you actually want to root for, because even if people were thinking it was more of a joke to begin with, it's hard not to ship these two together. They without a doubt love each other, even if they do deny it. And that's kind of part of the fun about the entire package. And I also think in terms of the comedic value, the almost pop team epic kind of persona that they have going on with some of these character designs and the visual flair, it's hard to imagine reading something like this for me just because a large portion of it was the voice actors mirroring the absurdity I'm seeing on screen. And that's why, if it does get more, I'll be jumping for joy just because it does feel kind of like an all-star cast for the Looney Tunes adventures that we have been experiencing. But it also kind of just feels open-ended in a good way that I could leave it off here if I absolutely have to, and be able to rewatch it without that kind of fear of knowing we're never getting a season 2, because it is more of an open-ended thing, not a go read the manga ending, so to speak. I mean, I leave the show very happy. I would gladly purchase a Blu-ray if it gets an English release, not one of those Japanese release where they release 2 episodes for $100, but I'm talking about like a Funimation release or something like that. I would absolutely support it. But I mean, this is definitely going to be a show that I go back to and rewatch a fair amount. There's certain shows that I always do that for. Konosuba is definitely one of them. And I, without a doubt, think Total Fantasy Knockout is my new favorite comedy anime, and I'd love to see a season 2 someday, but if not, I know these two lovebirds will be just fine as much as they will try to pull each other's hair out. What did everyone think, though, of the final episode? The romance of the will they, won't they? Do you want to see a season 2 someday when maybe the source material is a bit more ahead in the game there, maybe not as caught up to the anime as we currently stand? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.